Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Creative Direction with Kelly Bennett. Today, I have two guests, which I'm so excited about. They are the co-owners, co-founders of one of my favorite local shops, Lauren Hanson and Katie Beitzel. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
You're so welcome. So, I would love to hear a little bit of the backstory from you individually because you both are so creative and what you've done together is just so cool. When I went into your shop, I was blown away. And when I shared it on social, I got so many messages from my friends that were like, "Where is this store? This is like the dream store of all the things I love in the world in one place." So, Lauren, do you want to kick things off of a little bit of your backstory?
Sure. I am a sewer by trade. I'm a fashion designer. I went to school for that. I went to college in California. I'm fully trained in like pattern making and apparel making, and then went on to get my fine arts degree. And that's where I really got to explore kind of textiles and conceptual design and kind of pushing the envelope for, textile methods and sewing methods that I'm interested in. And so I moved to New York about this year. It'll be 10 years, which is crazy. I've been here
Wow,
that long.
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And My husband and I, we were both working kind of normal 9 to 5 jobs, and we were kind of getting over it or needed a creative outlet. And I had started, I'm a maker by heart. And so I'm always making something or working on some like kind of like wild project. And so I started making rugs out of recycled fabric just for fun. And it kind of snowballed into what is now our company called Ugly Rugly. And so we ended up making some products out of a coiled rope technique. And that really became kind of a signature product for us. And I still hand make a lot of the product today. We founded Ugly Rugly about 8 years ago.
Oh,
And
wow.
um,
I
sorry,
have one of your
in
pieces.
2007, in 2017. So sorry, I'm like,
You're
what's
going
that
to do
age?
the math? Well,
Okay.
while you do the math, I have one of your pieces and I absolutely love it. I get so many compliments on it. And I would like to say, because it is a placemat, it cleans really well.
They
Yeah,
do.
They really
My
do.
favorite.
It
yes.
really is. And I'm like, wow, this product, because even like sometimes with like handmade stuff, it's really, really delicate. And you have to be very, very gentle, or I don't even really use them. I just like to look at stuff and like not really. But your product, you could actually use it, rinse it off, and it's like so durable. So
Yeah,
shout out to that.
thank you.
Okay, so you did the math. So how long has
Yeah,
the brand been around?
6 years.
6 years. Six,
Yes,
8. We're still coming out of
we're
like
there.
COVID years, which I feel like made everything a little wonky. Okay, but
Yeah.
okay, so 6 years doing that.
Mhm,
And then what was the next thing that you're like, okay, I'm super creative, I have this, it's going, but I
mhm.
want something more.
Yeah, so we were building our business, and my husband, um, he's working full time. I'm running the business full time, and we're kind of balancing our duties. And I was just really always in my studio, kind of doing cool stuff, doing a lot of design exploration. In kind of like my side practice, I was doing sewing production for small designers, working on like apparel production in my studio. And I'm, sitting there alone in my tiny studio being like, I think people would be interested in what I do here. And sharing it on social media is one thing, but when you're getting emails from customers, that's like, dear customer service department. And it's like, it's just me. Hi, I'm here
Oh,
working on
yeah.
my stuff. I just really had a dream and a desire to kind of unite my creative practice with a customer facing studio storefront hybrid. And so I kind of had this very broad general idea of kind of wanting to show those things to people. And that around that time was when a customer came into my inbox, and it was Katie.
Oh,
And
I love
um,
that.
yeah, and so we kind of met through working on a little custom hanging lamp I made for Katie.
I love that. I had no idea that that's how you all
Yeah.
connected. Oh my gosh. Okay, so
Yeah.
Katie, take it away from there. I love
Yeah,
this.
it's so funny to look back because I think Lauren and I met because I was one of her customers, and so I had several ugly rugly pieces, which I'm like looking around my apartment right now, even though it's a mess, they're kind of like all over the place. So I was one of her customers. Totally agree with you on the placemat comment. It's one of my favorite things about the rope is how
Mhm.
easy it is to clean. Because, like you said, a lot of handmade stuff, you have to be really careful and gentle with it, and over time, things get dirty and dusty and used, and the rope is great. So, anyways, I was a customer, we became friends, and then we became business partners because Lauren had this idea. I also had always wanted to open a store, and I was working or had been working in kind of corporate business fashion, and was looking for a creative outlet as well. And so we kind of came together. My background is I went to school, I went to FIT for fashion business management. So I've been working in merchandising and sales on a corporate level for the last, I guess, almost 10 years. I also, my 10-year anniversary in New York, I think is this year, or because I've
I
been in
love
2012, so
it.
that's coming up as well.
Love it.
Um, so that's kind of been my background. And I also, on the side, was kind of sourcing vintage and selling at different flea markets and fairs and pop ups. And that's kind of been a passion of mine outside of crunching numbers and looking in Excel all day. And so Lauren and I were able to merge and kind of, do your fancy shop. So I think that's like the top line. There's a lot that happened in between there, but
I love it. That's a great,
yeah.
great story of how someone really was just a fan of a brand and then connected with the founder and now became business partners and then created their own brick and mortar, also using your background, which is a really great compliment for a creative mind, for makers to like find a co-founder that loves numbers and Excel. Cause usually as creatives, we're like, never mind,
Yeah.
we'd rather do all the creative stuff. So that's a really cool connection that you both have. That's like really covering so many different angles of running a successful business and brand. So I love that too. Very complimentary. So tell us about how the brick and mortar came about. And again, you all really brought in so many different cool elements. So I would love to hear a little bit of the behind the scenes of like how that all came together. Whoever wants to take it away.
Lauren, you want to?
Yeah.
It
Um,
started at drinks, me crying about how someone did something else. So I'll kick it off with that. And then we decided to go from there. So
Love
Lauren,
it.
would you answer that one?
yeah, we Katie and I as we had, interacted, she had like kind of a tiny little space that she was renting from a friend. It wasn't like totally a formal like
It's a
retail
bedroom.
space, but it was like a little shoppable space that she just opened kind of like when she had time. It was so cute and cool. And so she invited me to come check out the space, and I was like, this is really awesome. You're onto something here. And I think she felt the same way about me. And so we at one moment we were just kind of like out for a happy hour or something and commiserating about everything and talking about our struggles and whatnot, and Katie was just like, so do you want to do it? And I was like, let me talk to my husband first, but yeah.
That is so cool.
And so we we kicked it off that way, and so we kind of fused our ideas together, and I had a very broad idea of many things I wanted to do, and so there was a lot of like funneling that down and
Mhm.
figuring out what are going to be the key things that are going to be the elements of our store, figuring those things out. But the key elements we kind of landed on are, we have our retail store, and that is sort of the heart of the business. And so Katie sells all of her gorgeous vintage stuff. She's really into vintage glassware. So like we're the place to come if you need like a beautiful glassware set. Um, and we carry like a lot of independent designers, as well as my products, Ugly Rugly. And that kind of like showcases sort of the small maker and independent
Mhm.
designer core of where we come from. And then beyond that, we ended up with a space that allowed me to have my studio set up inside of it. So if you come to the back of the shop, my studio is in the back, and I still do a lot of production in-house. So if you come on the right day, you can see me like doing sewing production on the sewing
So
machine,
cool.
working through stuff. But then beyond that, I also have a background in teaching sewing. And so we also open up our studio for sewing classes. And we've got a fully outfitted studio, and we do a lot of beginner sewing classes. But then we also bring in artists to teach other things like crochet or quilting or punch needle tufting, or we've got like a wide variety of stuff. And we're just coming up on our 6-month anniversary, so there's been a lot of,
Wow.
yes, so there's been a lot of you know over the past 6 months throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks, and a lot
Right.
of trial and error. But because we have this production space here, we can do things like I can whip up a couple of pillows and try them out in the store and see how they sew, or
Mm.
see how they sell. Or we have a lot of like flexibility, and a lot of elements that kind of all work together and complement each other.
That's a really cool point that you're able to make product on site and test without a huge production cost or waiting. You're really able to get like real time feedback, which is such an advantage of how you are set up. That's really interesting. And I have to say, I hadn't sewn since I was 18 years old, and I just turned 38. So that math, yep, it's been a minute. And I learned how to sew a tote bag, like a proper with like the zipper and everything, within a class taught by you. So I just want to say thank you. My friends
Yes,
and
no
family were
problem.
blown away. They're like, "You made that?" I was like, I really did. I got some help from my teacher, but by and large, I learned how to sew in a workshop. And so everyone was very impressed. My girlfriend was very impressed because she was like, "You haven't sewed in a while." I was like, "No, I don't know what's going to happen." And she was like, "I'm genuinely impressed." So
And
thank you
you're a
guys.
great student, Kelly.
Thank you so much. I really tried. I really focused and did my best. And so when someone asks you like, what's your fancy shop? What can I find there? So it's really the vintage, independent makers, design. Also, I just feel like the colors and the aesthetic really stand out too. Like you all have a very cool um aesthetic. Yeah, just the way that you all blend colors and the texture. It just, there's so many different cool threads that are through the shop that I just love how you all curate it and brought all the pieces together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're
I think
welcome.
also piggybacking on what Lauren was saying, I think there's a through line kind of through the entire business is that element of sustainability. So in terms of what
Mm,
we're providing to the customer, we're providing these, vintage or secondhand items, these independent artists. You're able to make products in the back. So there's this through line of sustainability, and kind of a byproduct of the entire business is I feel like we've started to build kind of like a little community. So you come, maybe you need a gift, maybe you need something for yourself, maybe you want to learn something. Like there's a lot that our business I think can offer our customer, which is really cool. And so that's, people can come to us for different reasons, and that's something that we're excited to offer to our
Yeah.
customer.
And the
I love
customer
that.
can kind of like circulate through to different elements. Like, okay, you pop in because you need, a Mother's Day card, but then you realize there's a sewing class, and then maybe you realize that
Mm,
you love sewing and you want to start your own line. And then we also can offer manufacturing services. So there's like a lot of elements, and the customer can kind of circulate in these various aspects. And the studio can really become like a creative hub or a community, which we're sort of finding out as people start finding out about us here.
Totally. And I have to say too, I got that sense right off the bat because I feel like the sewing class I took was right around when you really just opened up the doors. I
Mhm.
want to say around Halloween.
Mhm.
So it was still very, very new. And I got that impression right away that it was going to be like this community space, and everyone was so friendly and welcoming, and just other people like smiling at each other, just who are shopping. And I was like, oh, this is cool. This is definitely a space that you could feel that already. And that's hard to curate if it's not genuine, right? You can't really fake that. So I got that sense from you both and the people that you were attracting in the space right away. And I love that. I appreciate that. Okay, so for someone who's listening that's like, you're literally living my dreams, because I got that feedback a lot when I shared my experience at your store on my social. People were writing to me. They're like, this is literally my dream. I was like, totally could see that. So do you have any advice or any advice you would share of like taking that next step of, okay, you were a one person show making stuff at home or in a small studio. Also, Katie, like one person store, like pop up on the side. But then to go full time or mostly full time doing a brick and mortar, going into business with a friend, like any advice there? Because that is such a big jump, but also such an exciting jump. Any like lessons learned in the last 6+ months?
Lots of
So
lessons,
many, so many.
endless lessons learned.
I say as a super creative, a non-linear thinker, very
Hmm.
kind of a creative person, get yourself a Katie.
Yes.
Like someone who you trust and you can partner with, who can um, you know, carry the responsibilities of things that you're not good at, and then vice versa. The for me the partnership has just been really crucial, and finding, like, for me that's my biggest takeaway, was like finding a really good partnership where we could rely on each other and complement each other.
I love that.
I think also, depending, if you go into business on your own or if you have a partner, but maybe they don't have a certain skill set and that's kind of something someone's in the market for, I think seeing what resources are out there, in terms of, there's a lot of like small business resources that we didn't know about and learned about because we needed them. I think there's advisors, there's free lawyers. We've used that. There's just all kinds of resources out there. I think doing a quick Google to find that, to
I was
get.
going to ask what you recommend to finding those resources.
We literally just Googled. We're obviously in New York City, and the city provided those resources. So depending on where you're at, I'm not sure what's available, but I think we were kind of surprised by what was out there. And I just recommend that because we sat for a few months and really mapped out the business, and every little detail that we could think of, we mapped out. And there was still stuff we missed. And the three of us, Cole, Lauren, and myself, like we've already said, all kind of have different backgrounds. So we really brought a lot to the table and really mapped things out extensively. And there was still stuff that was missed. So
Yeah,
that's why
we
I say,
probably
there's someone, maybe a business advisor, through a state or whatever. They might help fill in some of those details that, a normal person like us might miss.
Mm. Was there anything that jumped out at you of like looking back of like, okay, this was something we had missed and this is something I would pass on to someone else who's in this stage, like one little tidbit?
Lauren, do you have? I have
miss.
one, but
Um,
gonna go.
I think one of the things for us is I think we probably started planning the business like early March last year. Is that right?
Oh, okay.
And we probably took, I don't know, 9, 10 months to like fully flesh out and write our business plan. And we really went through it. We went through several iterations of it. We talked to, friends who have experience in reviewing business plans. We talked to, there were, pro bono lawyers that we could talk to. And we really tried hard to do our due diligence and dot every I and cross every T. And I think that kind of helped us navigate around some really expensive mistakes.
Mm,
But there's still, unexpected costs, specifically. I think build out costs are something, like if you want to
right.
open a physical space, there will always, always, always be surprise expenses that there's no way you can predict. And so giving yourself enough wiggle room to plan for that. Don't make your budget so tight that you can't navigate any issues that pop up. Um,
That's a good one.
That's what I
yeah,
was gonna say. I
Hmm.
was
learn
gonna
how
say we
business
had every
process.
little thing costs money, and things you don't even realize. Office supplies, like we were like, oh, we could probably get like $50 worth of office supplies. No, like you spend, it's a couple $100 for everything we needed, like, so I think just all of these little expenses add up, and it's definitely worth it to probably have a significant, I don't know, 10% of the total budget, or making that number up, but that's what I think for us, aside for just unexpected costs.
Unexpected costs. That's fair. I've done some openings of brick and mortars, and there's just like random shit that can pop up.
Yep.
And you're like, really?
Yep.
All right, cool. So what is something that you did that you're like, I'm really glad we crossed this T and dotted this I before we opened? Like something that you're like very grateful that you did before opening.
Before opening, let me think. I think
Yeah.
I don't know if there's something I'm really grateful we did before we opened, but I think one of the most like more recent things we've done was hiring someone to help with certain things that we're not good at. So like for us, Katie and I are like older millennials and we're not so great on the TikTok, even though we try. And so
I
hiring
thought your
someone,
TikTok has been looking really good.
Because we hired
hiring
someone.
someone to help with
Okay.
it, like I think like realizing where your weaknesses are and then investing in those places, especially when you're starting up and you have a minimal budget.
Right.
Don't hire people who are like, or don't hire for things that are things you're good at. Hire for things that you're not good at. Find your gaps and fill them. I think that has been like a really crucial lesson. And especially in the first, 6 months, it's been Katie and myself and our third business partner, Cole, who's my husband, and he's a very much behind the scenes partner. It's just the three of us running the store. And so stretching yourself too thin is something that happens a lot. And so hiring for those gaps so that you can kind of relieve the pressure of all the responsibilities has been a big lesson.
I love that. And I think that's a really great reminder because I feel that most creatives in general, but also a lot of women owned businesses that are doing it mostly themselves, put this immense pressure on themselves that they have to do everything themselves. And like asking for help or getting help with something is really a process of opening up to that. I've just found that over the years. And so thank you for saying that because I'm sure someone listening to this, that's going to be a moment for them that's like, okay, it's everyone gets support and help in other areas. You can't do literally everything yourself. And I think that's a really important message of like, it's going to take other people. And that's a good thing. You want different eyes on it. Everyone brings something to the table. So that's a really great reminder. So thank you for that. And my last question is, do you do anything maybe together or individually that helps you just stay creative? Because now just being in business as a creative and then doing the day-to-day of the business, but like anything that just helps you stay connected of like, this is my craft, this is what I love, either curating vintage or making products, or doing something else random that has nothing to do with what your craft is, just how you stay creative.
Katie?
I think for me it's really the sourcing and the merchandising of the store. I love going to antique stores and working with some of the dealers that I work with, and flea markets and all of those places. That's really my kind of fun creative outlet, as well as merchandising the store is probably one of my favorite things to do as well. So that's how I stay creative.
I
I
love
know
it.
Lauren has more fun ones, I think, but
Well,
Those
so
do sound fun.
so I get a lot of my creative outlet just working in the shop. Like I get to make stuff every single day, which was my dream. Like that is my dream that
Amazing.
I get to do it every day. So the thing that I have to do to stay creative is I absolutely have to take time off.
Yep.
It's very easy to overwork yourself and go 7 days a week and not realize it. So I have to, almost like a task on a checklist, force myself to take my day off. And then as part of that, I have started doing like going to the gym and like strength training. And that
Awesome.
has been a huge, huge outlet for me and a great stress reliever. And it's kind of, sounds corny, but it's kind of taught me a little bit of a life lesson that if you build on things slowly, you get results.
Yeah.
And um, and that's like a lesson, I've learned in through working my body, but it has like applied itself kind of to the rest of my life as well. And that's been a big one, to just kind of have a moment for me that's not about creativity or anything. It's just like my me time. And, it gives me that moment to rest and recuperate so that I have a creative well to draw on.
I love that so much. And that resonates with me too. I literally have to have like chill out on my calendar because I could keep going too. And that, at times, yes, if it's a launch or something important or an event, sure, but that's unsustainable. And so I'm really happy that you said that, because I think with most creatives, we love the creative process, but it could also burn us out too. So it's good to take a rest, everyone. It's good to pace yourself, to build on what you're building, and really having that community and people in your corner who get you and can support you, and asking for that support just seems like a common thread that you all have shared today. And I really appreciate that. Awesome. So where can people shop? Where can people find you? Give us all that good stuff.
They can find us at our shop. We don't currently have an online store.
Okay.
That's one of the things that we said we were going to do in the first month, and we're going to do it, and just we're overwhelmed by just running the brick and mortar. So right now we're just brick and mortar in Bushwick. Our address is online. All of our information is online, and I that's how you find us.
Yeah, and we're
Perfect.
on Instagram, TikTok,
Oh, thank you.
we post all of our class schedules on social media. Or if you're not a big social media person, you can sign up for our email list, and I announce whenever we have new classes or new class dates. And we usually post kind of like behind the scenes content as well. So you'll see lots of pictures of like Katie's vintage, or me in the studio doing stuff. So it's kind of a fun channel to tap into.
I have to say, because I'm a nerd for social, I love your social and I love your emails, and just your shop in general is just goals and it's stunning. And I can't wait to come shopping soon.
Yay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing, both of you. And also shout out to Cole for the shop that you all have created and curated. And can't wait to see what you all create next.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you for
so
having us,
welcome.
Kelly.
You're so welcome. Bye, everyone. See you in the next
Bye.
episode.